This program contains crazy material, including offensive language. Listening discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of AVO's Padded Room with your hosts, Big Jim and Brad Storm.
Our guest this week on AVO's Padded Room podcast fell in love with radio at a young age. A former member of the United States Air Force, our guest dabbled in radio in 1988. Now a retired forklift driver for Anheuser-Busch, our guest transitioned nicely into the world of voiceover, specializing in character voices, IVR, radio imaging, and is the host of the AM Coffee Podcast. It's time to get strapped in the padded room because Mike Tarnow, you are locked in and mic'd up.
What's happening, buddy?
Wow, I didn't think it was going to feel this good, dude.
I never thought it was going to be feeling so good in a straitjacket either, but, you know.
All warm and fuzzy, just loving it.
When it's right, man.
Mike, dude, it's a pleasure having you on AVO's Padded Room podcast. And we're going to zoom. Oh, appreciate that. We're going to zoom back in time, 1970s, when you fell in love with DJs of all different sorts and kinds.
Yeah. I don't think either one of you are old enough, but back then they had that pukey voice, you know, hey, all you crew guys, got a big date tonight, got a zit in the middle of your forehead, you know, the big juicy kind, look like a third eye, you know, so it's like, you know, but those guys had so much personality and it just drew you in. And that was really, you know, this was not long after we got a color TV. So this is, entertainment wasn't, but yeah, I loved it.
Casey Kasem.
Yeah. Shadow Stevens. Shadow Stevens had,
Whoa, forgot about him.
Yeah, he had those vocal cords as big around as your thumb. I mean, he had that really good voice, and yeah. So, and when I was a kid, even as a teenager, a pimply face, skinny, not very good with the girls, 13, 14-year-old, sitting on my couch in the living room, listening to AM radio, trying to pick up a station that was far enough away to where I could, you know, just to try to pick up a station that was a long way off. And that was my big entertainment for the weekend. So it was really, it was a hot time in the Tarnow household, man, I'll tell you.
Did you love WKRP in Cincinnati?
I did.
Yes,
My wife actually bought me the T-shirt for the annual turkey drop with Les Nessman. I wear that every year. So, yeah.
That's classic.
That's
classic. I'm going to spin it over to Big Jim. I'm sure he's going to want to know about your military service as far as the United States Air Force.
Absolutely. Now, it looks like you said 40 years, one tour, I guess?
Yeah.
That was in the 80s, or was that?
Yeah, that was 84 to 88.
84, okay. So you weren't in any campaigns or anything like that, huh?
No, there was, I think there were some minor ones going on at the time, but, you know, we were in during Reagan years, and you know how that was, that kind of quieted everything down worldwide pretty much. There wasn't a whole lot of skirmishes. And
Air Force. I was in the Army, 101st Airborne, joined during wartime, so... 2 months, a little backstory, 2 months after, 2 weeks after I joined, they told me go on leave. Let's take this back even further. I was in the National Guard for 8 years, and then I went active. And they said, okay, go home. I'm like, what? And I said, why? He said, because when you come back, you're going to be on the plane to Kuwait and then cross the berm over into the conflict. I was like, oh, wow.
Oh, boy.
So, but the next year in Iraq, and I did that a couple times. So
did you? Yeah. My hat's off to you guys that have gone in during those times and just voluntarily, because, you know, that's true heroism. That's true. You know, you very well possibly could put your life on the line. When I joined, I mean, it was right after that little skirmish in Grenada, and there was a little bit of thing in Grenada and Libya in '83, but that was about a year and a half after I graduated high school is when I went in. So it was just it was just a good time to be in. So I you know, when people thank me for my service, I'm almost a little embarrassed because not a whole lot went on. I mean,
I was 7.
You know what did go on?
Yeah.
you know what did happen? I think, didn't Top Gun come out during that time?
Oh, that could be.
Top Gun.
Yeah.
Were you playing
Feel the need
volleyball?
for speed.
Brad, you got to do the song, buddy, for me. You know how that goes.
I don't remember.
Highway to the danger zone.
Oh yeah.
Were you
playing
Kenny
beach
Loggins.
volleyball? Were you playing beach volleyball out there? Goose and Maverick.
Where I was?
Yeah, were you?
Yeah, I was at Fort Bragg. the only beach we had there, you don't even know where.
You just throw some sand somewhere.
So isn't that the home of the 82nd?
It's a home of the 82nd. Yeah, you were the 101st, so you were in Kentucky.
Well, yeah, the border. Yeah. Fort Campbell. That's right. That's why we call them the 82nd, because the 82nd, 101 go back and forth.
Of course. Yeah. The 82nd. I never heard that one. That's
but
good.
when it comes to it, it comes down to brass tacks. We go ahead and kick ass together. So.
Yeah, of course. Oh, because we all had those, nicknames for each other. Marines, the Jarheads. We were the Fly Boys, and then you had the Grunts.
The Grunt.
And then the Squids.
We were actually dope on a rope because we were air assault, not airborne.
Oh, okay.
So we repelled. The whole air assault. It was great. I had a great time doing it.
Yeah, that's great. I have an uncle that was when I went home on leave, and he said something about, so where are you stationed? He was an ex-Marine, and I told him, I said, it's a little Air Force base within Fort Bragg. And he says, there's no Air Force at Fort Bragg. I'm like going, what do you think, the airborne jump out of trees? I mean, what I knew at that point it was just, it was worthless to even discuss it. So.
Yeah, do you still have issues with, like when you get upset, spitting out that military jargon?
Every once in a while I'll say it just kind of in joking, stuff is FUBAR or gosh, what's some of the other acronyms we had?
What the fuck is wrong with you, high speed?
There were some that you learn from your drill instructors and stuff. Oh man, some of that it is not family friendly at all. So,
right on.
Yeah.
You bring it in, do a whole show on this, man. Just
you could.
Right.
But getting back to the topic at hand.
I know, right?
1988, you get out of the military and you enter into the world of radio. Your dream is finally coming true.
No. I met one of the jocks of a station I was listening to, and he had said something about, we need a morning show producer. The guy that he had is finally moving out of his mother's basement, and we need somebody that's actually an adult to do this. And so I went down there and I started doing that. I had to get up at 4:00 in the morning, and right at that point is when I met my wife. So yeah, it was tough, kind of staying up until the late time, going out to eat or whatever. And so anyway, I was doing that during the mornings. I was working from 5 to 9. Then I was doing weekend jock stuff. But the hard part is that when I was in high school, we had a radio station. It wasn't really a radio station. It was a piece of conduit from the library where we had our dual turntables to the cafeteria. So it was me and a friend of mine. I was Mike Michelob and he was Jim Budweiser, and it was kind of prophetic, me working for Budweiser. But
crazy.
But so we did that. It was very, very ironic. I had never really listened to my own voice at that point. You just kind of did it. We didn't have headphones. We just kind of did our thing, and we knew the quarter turn for the 45 and I'm sorry, for the 33, and it was 3/4 a turn for the 45, and that was all we needed to know. So anyway, once I started in radio in 1988, I started hearing my own voice. And you know how it was when you first started doing VO? It's like your voice would kind of elevate.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't natural, and you were nervous, and you were stumbling all over yourself. You're thinking about, man, there's more than 4 people listening to me. I've never had this happen before. So it's just weird. I loved it, but at the same time, it was nerve-wracking.
Yeah, you got to put it out there to make mistakes, though, and that's what you did, and you live and learn.
Yeah, you love it. It's worth it.
Right. And you do more and more of it, and it's like you can't get enough of it. I felt lately is just like I'm sitting down watching TV, and I'm like, man, I should be creating new content. I should be putting a new demo together, and that's when I turn the TV off, go back upstairs.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy creating things. The auditioning part is kind of a drag a lot of times, but that's where you get all your samples from.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm such a kid, man. I new Call of Duty came out, and I'm like,
no. So you're in radio, and you say, well, hey, this isn't paying the bills, so I need to move on. And you did move on. Why don't you explain?
I did. In 1989, I got married.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And we decided that I needed something that had health insurance. And so, because we were going to, my wife's 7 years older than I am. And at that point, she was 34. And we wanted to have a baby and the whole thing. So we needed some health insurance because we can't afford a baby. Who can afford a baby? So I started working on, I started fixing copiers for a living. It was, I had electronics to it. I knew some mechanics. And so it was actually a pretty good fit. I did that for about 6 years. And then I got the job at Budweiser in 1994. And that worked out really well. And I was on night shift a lot. I think that was the part that kind of really made me focus on trying to do something else. I had my real estate license at one point. I had, I can't even remember all the different little things that I was trying to, different avenues I wanted to dabble in that maybe strike it rich and get the heck out of there. But it really never amounted to anything until I could actually retire. And in 2012 was when I started doing voiceover. So that kind of helped me. And that was the plan. It was going to help me kind of take some of my lumps and learn everything that I needed to learn before it was going to be a full-time thing.
But in 2011, though, there was something that was very impactful that you were talking about in regards to voiceover that kind of like put the light bulb above your head and said, hey, this is something I want to pursue.
That's right. And it comes down to one word.
Aflac.
If you're familiar with Gilbert Gottfried getting fired over a tweet, I think it was, he said
that's
something
how they always
about
get fired.
People are so fucking sensitive.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. And they are. And it's, it's not just young people. Old people are just like real snowflakey too. And it's just, get over yourself. But, so anyway, and supposedly the Japanese, now you almost hate to put it this way, but that was what the press release said that I had read back in 2011 is that the Japanese didn't have a good sense of humor when it came to their natural disasters. It's sort of like if you lived in New Orleans after Katrina, I would imagine that wound was probably still fresh and that probably wouldn't go over well if somebody was making fun of that stuff. So anyway, they called for his firing after that, after he made a tweet about some kind of joke about the earthquake that they endured over there. They put out a nationwide open casting call for someone to replace him. Me and a friend of mine had talked about it and we practiced it. So we didn't have any equipment to record it in. I mean, back then we still had, I just didn't have anything. So I just never submitted. But I think they got like 10,000 submissions. They probably stopped at 6 and said, you got it.
It's like winning the lottery.
But it's crazy because he's a comedian. And if you watch most comic shows, there's really no bounds, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, maybe it's the place he did it.
Well, I also think that you think of the late night talk shows nowadays. It's like, there's not a whole lot of bounds there, but at the same time, it's almost like I grew up with Carson and Carson was kind of an equal opportunity offender. He would get everybody. He got Reagan and he got Mondale and he would as far as politics go. And nowadays it seems like everybody's kind of gone one way and not the other. And sometimes it's like they just reach too far in order to try to be funny. And it's just not that funny anymore to me.
Then you had folks like George Carlin back then. No bounds.
Definitely not.
Sam Kinison, that was another one. No bounds.
Yeah.
He'd hurt everybody's feelings. He didn't give a damn.
Hey!
No.
Now comedy is going to be like handcuffed. I don't even know how it's going to survive. It's going to be full of Adam Sandler movies. The same regurgitated stuff over and over and over. But I love it. I do. I love Adam Sandler.
Yeah, he's great.
2012, you created your first demo and you started to, pick up some momentum from there. Why don't you go into that?
Yeah, I went to a seminar in Charlotte, North Carolina, about a 4-hour drive from here. And we got up there and I met actually my first coach at that seminar. And I went up there and we cut a demo. It took about an hour and a half and they sent it to me. It was $300. And I thought, this is a lot of money. Wow. But, it certainly was not a lot of money now that, because I just didn't know. But it turned out okay. I got listed on Bidalgo and I didn't do voices.com yet. I did that later on. I did that the next year, but I got on Bidalgo and man, I got lucky late that year. I think it was in December. I got hired as a chef in a training video for a place that remodels kitchens in Munich, Germany. So
awesome.
An animation though, right?
Yeah, I think it was, I never saw the finished product, but that was kind of the way it was described.
Now, children, let's go ahead and remodel. Oh, wait, that's South Park. That's a little different.
Oh, I really like my steak well done. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the steak done, no?
Yes. Hunde.
Well, jawohl. Ja, schlagen, logen.
Boink, boink, boink. Yeah.
Sorry about Brad.
Holy hell, we haven't even got to the damn improv part yet. I was going to ask you about Bodalgo. I just landed my first job on Bodalgo. When you land your first job, what's the process? I mean, they hit you up on email, right? I can't even remember what job it was that I auditioned for. Is there any kind of new symbol that comes instead of the green thumb symbol? You have something else? How do you know?
I'm talking 2012. I haven't been a member since. So, I mean, I'm sure it's changed 50 times since then.
Not really. It's pretty basic.
But, I almost did not realize that I had the job. It went to a different email somehow. I don't know whether it was an email I had first listed on there and I changed it. But it's like all of a sudden I get this message through their messaging system, I think it was. It said, you're coming up on a deadline. What are you doing? And it's like, okay. So I got off work that morning and I recorded it really quick. Luckily, it wasn't very long. It was like 150 words. Yeah, it was nice
to let you know, huh?
Yeah, I did. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it has changed then.
Yeah, it must have.
Because there really wasn't no deadline in this email. I'm just like, okay. I'm always suspicious. I'm like, is this full of, what? And I got to stop being that way, I guess.
It's not easy to trust. I'll give you that.
It isn't. And that's why it's good to get coaching. And I want to dabble into this real quick. Like you've been with a lot of great coaches. Why don't you tell us, the listeners, what you've gotten out of all this coaching?
My first coach was Nick Omana. He's NOVA. I think it's NOVA.com out in California, but he's fantastic. He has a wide array of things that he does. He kind of got me started. He got me with my articulation, getting rid of any Southernisms that I still had in my voice, and that, just different things and how to interpret scripts better than what I was doing. Then I moved on to, actually I did a few classes with Pat Fraley. He has some great, the way he sets everything up, he emails you a packet and you have this packet and you go through like part one and you record it and send it to him through email. And he listens to it, records a critique, sends it back to you and wants you to redo it with applying the critique. And so I did that. Man, to me, that was it was very, very helpful. It was all about character voices and figuring out how to make someone believable or how to make a voice believable. And I learned a lot from that class. That was actually one of the things that I learned is that, because that can apply to commercial, that can apply to almost anything, because whether you're reading a commercial or you're doing e-learning, it's like you're playing a character, and that character could be either a teacher, a narrator, or whatever. And you have to kind of get your brain into that mode and even picture something like that. And that's what kind of, that helped me there. And then of course I ended up with Bill DeWeese, one session with Bill. Then I did 2 sessions with David Goldberg.
None of us know what that means. No,
Oh, I think you do know what that means. It's time for the greatest show known to man and woman. That's right, a VO's Padded Improv. Today we're going to have you read a commercial script. Let's do this as a cross between Pee Wee Herman and SpongeBob SquarePants. So when you're ready, the mic is yours.
You ever find yourself driving in a car when the most fantastically painful diarrhea strikes?
Uh-oh!
I have.
Oh, no!
That's why I use Strike No More, a bag you tuck under your ass to release your bodily functions while driving. No mess, no fuss, no pain. You don't even have to get your hands off the wheel. You just go.
Back to the show. Now, you had mentioned Bill DeWeese and everything, and I see that Nancy Wilson coach. I've been waiting all show to ask you. I mean, she's gorgeous, she's hot, and she's
she's
very talented, and I like how she brings out the best in people. She has them laying down, and this. Talk more about that.
It's kind of what drew me to her is watching those YouTube videos, because she'll have somebody lay down and speak into the mic by laying down. I think a lot of it is trying to get that relaxing part out of you. But she definitely has a unique take. If you make a mistake while you're reading the script with her, she makes you start all over again. And that is almost to teach you to be able to read without making a mistake. So she just has so many different good techniques to kind of bring stuff out of you. And she's great to talk to. I mean, she'll sit there and just chat with you, and and she's very encouraging, but she can also cut with a really sharp knife.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I tried that. I laid down, but my ass couldn't get back up. I was like this, man, I can't do it.
Well, it's good to be honest. It just depends on the person, man. Sometimes you could if you got to start over again, that's not a bad thing, especially like if you're reading an audiobook, you want it to be able to flow. And you'd want to work with someone like her to get a better read and save you a lot more time than having to do punch and roll and all this other crazy stuff. So, I mean, I don't mind that so much. My feelings don't get hurt that easily.
And that was actually one of the first things she told me. She says, I hope you don't get your feelings hurt very easily. And I hope, I was like, no, I work at a brewery. I'm ex-military. I'm going to be just fine. You tell me I'm whatever, and I'll be just fine. And she does. She'll tell you messed that up in no uncertain terms. Yeah. So it's like, but I like that. I think just a straight talk between people, I think is a good thing. Let's cut to the chase. Don't worry about my feelings. Let's just do this. And
you get more comfortable at it as well. Now, how did you get to working in the UK?
As far as my imaging guy, I don't know exactly how we met. It had to be online, obviously. But I mean, I don't know whether it was in a forum or I saw an advertisement. That may have been what it was. It might have been an advertisement because he advertises a lot on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. And so I looked just to see what it was all about because I've always been attracted to imaging because I love radio. I think I just wrote him an email and said, and I had just had, and this is another funny story. Sometimes you do stuff for free. And really, there's a lot of the elitists that really, I know they hate that. Don't tell anybody I'm this. Okay. Sometimes you do stuff for free. There's a guy in Nigeria. I don't know. I don't remember how I got hooked up with him either, but he worked at a radio station over there and he had me he picked up jobs from other places here in the US. So it's like, they would order through him. He would get it from me. He probably got paid and I didn't, to be completely honest about it. But it gave me, he owed me some favors. So what I did is I had written some imaging scripts from just listening to, what's the imaging guy? Eric,
Come on, Jim,
man.
I know Mike Russell.
He does your intro. He does my intro for my podcast.
Yeah, I did it live for me.
About a month ago.
Yeah, about a month ago. Yeah.
It was cool watching the video of it. No, I thought that was pretty cool.
Was that the Free Jingle Friday thing?
Yeah, it is. Well, free, it turned into $20. So
that's exactly what I did. I paid him $20. Yeah,
he did it live for me. So
Well, he sent it to you later anyway. So once I did all the production. Yeah. But anyway, this guy owed me some favors, so I wrote myself a nice imaging script of about 7 different radio stations that I made up. So nobody could come back and say, well, that's not you. Anyway, so I did all that and then sent it to him. I said, make me an imaging demo. And he did. And it turned out really good. So I'm like, okay, well, I mean, so that it was some tit for tat there and it worked out pretty good. So, but anyway, those kind of relationships sometimes, even though it sounds like you're getting maybe screwed over to begin with, they turn out, I mean, especially when he's very magic with his production handiwork and stuff. So it really helped me.
And those of y'all who know who Gary Vee is, that's what he speaks. That's his whole thing is give, what was his book? Punch, punch,
punch, jab, punch, punch.
Punch, punch. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give. And then,
That's what we do, Jim.
Yeah.
We have a group that we talk every week and vent about different things and we help each other out through our group and, helping people. I was a fireman, so I loved helping people out. So. When you expect something in return, you're going to be disappointed.
I think that's the problem. And I think that, and I've tried to tell my son just turned 30 last month. And I've been trying, he's married now. And I've been trying to tell him, it's like, you don't do things to get something in return. If you have to go at it from the angle that you're not going to get anything in return. Then when you do, it's so much better. It's a surprise and you're happy. And he does music production. My son does. So
nice.
He's on Instagram at, Marble Planet Productions. Cool. Him and his buddy.
There you go, folks. Now you know where to find him.
Yes. Now, head on over to Instagram right now.
As far as imaging in general, what are some of the key points that you need to really focus in on?
I think changing the tone significantly has helped with me anyway is like, you know, you can read something, it's like, tune into Q104 every Thursday night for, you know, then you can go tune in to Q104 every Thursday night. And it's just a different, you got to, it's almost like it's almost like a character. You know, I mean, you can read it differently in the same voice and that would work too. But since I don't have this third testicle voice, you know, I just don't. So I have to bring these bag of tricks with me in order to get work. But yeah, I've got a friend in Ringgold, Tim Miller. I always tell him, well, you got the third testicle voice. You can say whatever you want. And everybody loves it. So.
That reminds me of that movie Total Recall where the lady has 3 boobs. Remember back when Schwarzenegger did it? Yeah. They were in that town that needed to breathe oxygen. The lady had 3 boobs. And I'm just like, wow, that's amazing.
The man's dream, bro.
Or a nightmare.
Oh, yeah, right.
It could go either way.
I love that. That's great.
The girl
that's great.
IVR. That's a big jump from radio imaging.
Yeah, you know, and that kind of found me. I ended up being friends with someone on Instagram, and she's a VO person, and she had asked me some question about something, and anyway, we went back and forth, and she said that her and her husband run a place up in Chicago that is a production house. That's where she works every day. I'm like, oh no, that's kind of neat. Maybe. So I looked at the website and I saw there's a list of about 12 VO people that they use on their roster. And I said, you know, so I sent him an application. He sent me scripts to read. I sent it back. I got put on the roster. So every job that he has sent me so far, and I only hear from him about once every other month, but every one has been an IVR script. And it's not just prompts, you know, it's on hold commercials and stuff. So which is kind of what we do. That's kind of everybody's meat and potatoes is commercials.
Hey, you know, it's been a pleasure having you on the show here on a VO's Padded Room podcast. Hope you enjoyed yourself, my friend.
I did. I really did. You guys are great.
Thanks. You got any shout outs you want to make and you want to plug your social media?
I actually have an online radio show, which we never really got to talk about. It's on Deluxe Radio. You can find it on the TuneIn Radio app or the radio.net app. Just search for Deluxe Radio, DLUX without the E. And my show is on there 3 times a week. If you go to deluxeradio.com, you'll be able to see on the schedule the 3 times a week that it's on.
Talk about your podcast for a second.
The radio show is called Rockin' in the USA, and it's and all it is, I'm the token Yank on the whole radio station because everybody else is from the UK. So that's just kind of fun. I have a whole bank of music, and I can use all my own music. They've paid all the fees for me, and
awesome.
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Once do it from your home?
I do it from here. I produce a 2-hour show every week. And once the cruise ships start running again, they have contracts with cruise ships all through the Mediterranean and with Royal Caribbean, and that's where the money flow comes from. So that it's kind of neat. Anywhere between, you know, Jerusalem and Cozumel, you'll be able to hear my voice anywhere, somewhere in that area.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but the podcast is an interview podcast, kind of what y'all do, and it's called AM Coffee. And it's the website is amcoffee.us, and of course all the social media links are very simple. We've made it very simple. It's facebook.com, instagram.com, and twitter.com/amcoffeepodcast. So it's easy to find. Or if you go to amcoffee.us, all the links are there for you. I was part of another podcast that was called Afternoon Coffee, and that was me and a friend of mine that were interviewing people, and there were times where it got real glitchy. So, and I think that was really at the peak of the pandemic. So I think maybe the internet was just overwhelmed or Zoom was overwhelmed or Skype was or whatever. It was kind of messy. So I ended up doing a lot of stuff myself now. But yeah, it's my shout outs actually. I'd like to shout out to Tim Miller. He's a good friend of mine up in Ringgold, Georgia. Good VO guy, tmvo.studio. And of course, I'd like to shout out to Pat Fraley. I've learned so much from him. Bill DeWeese, I think all of us have learned a lot from Bill DeWeese and his videos. He's got 10 gajillion videos on YouTube. And man, he just gives you so much good information. He spoon feeds it very, very little at a time, but man, it's overwhelmingly good. And of course, Nancy Wolfson, you know, I haven't coached with her in a little over a year, but man, she gave me a lot of tools to use. And I'm certainly nowhere near where I want to be, but I am certainly better than I was before I met those people. So
do you have any final thoughts you want to share?
you're just starting out in VA, don't be too hard on yourself because, this is a tough business. There's a lot of people out there and there's a lot of, and I'm probably going to make some enemies with this, but there's a lot of people who are elites, and everybody who knows who I'm talking about when with that, and they will be almost, they'll jump all over you about getting coaching. They'll jump all over you about getting a demo that costs $2,500 and they'll jump all over you about a lot of stuff. And that's fine. They have their ways, but I think that this in VO in 2020 can be carved a lot of different ways. I think that there are people who use Fiverr, which is a 4-letter word, according to those people too. People use Fiverr, and Domingo started out on Fiverr. And there's just a lot of different ways. You got Upwork, you got Voice Realm, you've got a lot of the maybe the lower tier voiceover sites, which Voice Realm really isn't lower tier because they charge pretty decent rates for things. But you just got to look, and you don't throw money at things before you kind of understand what you're throwing money at. That would be my parting wisdom.
Jim, you want to make a shout out?
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Don't look at me in that tone of voice, boy.
You shut your eyes when you're looking at me. Damn it. Anyway, you can find me at bigjimmedia.com and on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Big Jim Media.
Find me on my website, bradstormvo.com, bradstormvo on Instagram and Twitter, bradstorm voiceover on Facebook, and Bradstorm Lanew on LinkedIn and on YouTube, Bradstorm.
Nice. Oh, I forgot my voiceover website. It's miketarnow.com, MikeTarnow.com. There we go.
Awesome. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening to. And when shit gets real, you gotta blanked out. When shit gets real, just fucking.
You had me on the edge of my seat.
I know, right? When life gets tough and shit gets real, you gotta
punch every day in the face.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show.